Hey, hey, it's hard to be to smile and be happy, right? It's hard to say, "Hey, how you doing, Arsenal fan circle again, again, again." Gary, I could say it 7 times, 7 or 8 times. The amount of losses we've had this season, again and again and again. This team, I'll tell you, it's going to be Gary and I. I think my here is going to be in the comments section, and we're gonna try to get into it. It's I'm getting past talking about it as therapy sessions. It was kind of funny, Gary, to talk about it as therapy, but this team is bad for your health. You need to watch Arsenal with a government warning sticker involved, right, Gary?
Yeah, there's nothing good about watching it. They try to, you come in all smiles, and within minutes you're basically, you lost the smile. Your stomach is feeling not so good. Your eyes cannot believe what they're seeing. It's yeah, they're not making it easy. They're not making it easy. They gave us a little bit of joy, and then they take it away, and then they give us some little ups, like okay, something good might happen here, and then it doesn't happen. Yeah, definitely a roller coaster ride. Therapy isn't working because we keep, therapy only it works if eventually you're gonna be happy for it, right? We
Yeah,
and I don't think it's one of those questions. Have we hit the bottom? You know, have we hit the bottom yet where we can start talking about uh, bettering ourselves or our team, right? So, hello everyone in the chats. I see Mrs. Ray in the house.
hmm
I got football brownie, Miss Melina, Robin. Welcome. Hopefully, we'll get some more in there, and we'll chat with you guys as we go through what we've seen and where we're going and what we'll be. We'll see.
yeah. Hi, Adam. So my bet with Adam, Gary, is not going so well. I bet with him that we would finish above Everton, and 6 point swing yesterday,
Yeah, I
right there.
think you're in trouble, whatever that bet is.
It
I
was
mean,
just nice.
right now, we're just trying to hold on to something positive, be it Everton. If that's what they need, so be it. Uh, but yeah, we need some we need something positive in our Arsenal lives to
Yeah,
make us
definitely.
smile. Um,
So yeah, thanks to Jill for joining me. My wife Gary's here. Robin is here. Thanks for joining us, Robin, and Miss Melina. Thanks for joining. The Revenant just joined as well. So we're gonna get a few people in here. I didn't know Gary if we would get a lot of people today. Miss Melina, thanks. I would like to wish Arsenal Fan Circle panel Gary and Ray a Merry Christmas and wonderful happy holidays. Thanks for keeping us sane and entertained during this pandemic, lads.
yeah,
And sometimes it does help to talk, right, Gary?
it does. And happy holidays to everyone. Whatever you celebrate during this time, as much as you can with the family that you have close by or nearby. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's tough.
We're going to get into it. We're going to get
Yeah,
into it. We're
yeah.
we're going to talk about the lineups and the initial lineup and what you thought about the lineups yesterday, Gary. And then we're going to get into we're going to highlight the game a little bit. What was good about it, what was bad about it. And then we're going to get into the bigger topic of where do we go from here? Who's to blame? And I think blame can be apportioned all over the place. And how do we get out of this mire? So there's a lot to unpack, Gary.
Yes, and like usual, you can't start with the lineup. What's interesting is we can start with the Everton lineup, and then that basically tells us all we need to know about our standing in this league. I mean, do you want to start there with the lineups and then go?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We'll
yeah,
get a few. We'll get a few comments in here. The Revenant,
yeah.
big up to you, legends. The Arsenal, you lads. Love is dead. Arteta is sinking with you to the championship. I don't. I hope it's not going to be that bad yet,
Yeah.
Gary. Right?
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I think other teams are helping us out because they're not doing what they need to do either if they want to kind of get out of the doldrums of relegation zone. So far so good for us, and those that are just above us aren't able to do it either. So we have the ability to move up if we're able to perform. So yeah,
And I understand you got a draw on your pick, the EPL upset challenge.
Yeah.
Gary, you did pick Fulham yesterday, and you got a draw, so you split the differential in points, which is going to be 2 points going towards you. Your goose egg becomes 2 points now, Gary.
That's good and bad, right? Because I mean, it's good that I got it kind of right, and
Yeah.
it's bad because you know after that first game of the season, it didn't seem like we would be we would be down there with them, kind of looking up at the most of the table. So yeah.
Okay, so definitely let's get into the lineup then. Gary, what was your initial thoughts from the lineup?
Yeah, so usually my first place to look is at our bench to see who's there, to see who has an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And when I looked at the bench, I saw something a little interesting there. Well, first I saw something I liked. Emil Smith Rowe made it to the bench. I said, all right, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Expected to see Willock Nelson, you know, there. Hopefully, Nelson, I assume, is probably still injured, and that's why he wasn't on there.
But
Willock was there.
let's assume that, yes.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that he was still injured, and that's why he didn't make it. Then there was another name on there that was very surprising, and to me, a little bit. I felt like a little disappointing because I kind of feel like they're pushing it and they're desperate. Martinelli, he was on there. He's got what, 2 games in him, since he's come back. Not even a full game in either of those games.
Hmm.
Why is he on the bench? This is not. There's no reason to rush him back. This season isn't one where we're like, okay, well, we get him back, and that'll make the difference between us finishing, where we are now, and maybe getting into where we want to be, which is, higher up in the table, at least top
Yeah.
six, right?
Anywhere up
Up is
would
good,
help,
but we can
right?
probably go up without him, right? I mean, we would think we can, anyways.
Yeah.
So far, we've been getting the answer of no to that question. So seeing him on the bench was it was nice to see, but I was concerned that it's a desperation move, and it may come back to haunt us. Maybe not today, but years from now when he's not able to be the player we want him to be because he got rushed back in sooner than later. So that was the bad part for me. And then also looking on the bench, I noticed some names not there that I thought might be there because of the things that were going on in the week. Certain players wanting their coach to be let go. So I figured out if those were true, then that would be an issue, I think, for the manager and coach. But no, Willian and Louise were in the lineup,
Well,
and do you want
let's
to
link.
just go from there and stay with the back, stay with the bench?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that because David Luiz, yes, and Willian. Rumors have been that they are against Arteta in some way, shape, or form, right? Uh, to me, if David Luiz was going to be restored, as if there was no issues at all, he would have been made captain, right, Gary?
I don't know what to say about the captain because I don't. He has the leadership qualities on the field, but as a Arsenal captain, I don't know how you get that moniker. That's where we are, right? Where Louise is the best, is a pretty
Yeah,
good leader,
if you
a
have
pretty good leader
no
for the team, and a good quality captain for us. And he's only been here for a year and a bit right now. Yeah,
if you have no Aubameyang in starting lineup, no Granit Xhaka, there I said it. Uh, then David Luiz would have been the next captain candidate in line.
that's that's sad, right? That's where we are. But that's yeah. I mean, I do feel like he does have the leadership qualities that we're looking for. More than the other two players. More than Aubameyang and Granit. So that I think right now having him on the field is a benefit to our defense, which isn't a good thing either because that means that our
We
depth
need him.
is pretty our depth is
Yeah.
pretty slim when it comes
Yeah.
to center backs right now.
What I'm getting at, Gary, is if there would be no issue with David Luiz and Willian, and Arteta would have no issue with them, they would have no issue with Arteta. then David Luiz would have been the captain yesterday. Now, David Luiz was not the captain. Rob Holding was named captain. So there's no smoke without fire, right?
Seems like I think they make things easy for us, right? No reason to kind of question what's going on there. Yeah, there's something there, but it's not enough. It's not enough, not to for him not to be named captain. He's still
Yeah,
got to play, so it must not be that big of a deal if he can still play. I know the depth is an issue there, but I think at some point it shouldn't matter, right?
yeah,
Either you're Arsenal or you're not, and when you're not Arsenal, then how can you continue to play, right?
yeah.
If you're
So
going to demote somebody, that means that they're not doing things the Arsenal way, right?
or
And you know,
or or you need them at some point in time. He needs David Luiz in the team, but he doesn't need him to be captain. So there is something going on there in those rumors. And Gary, we're probably going to get through 4 or 5 rumors that are swirling around the club right now, just within this podcast alone.
true.
So that's how scary this club has become, how scary and how difficult things have become on the field and off the field. But talking about the lineup, this was my predicted lineup in terms of what I thought Arteta would do. Obviously, bar one being Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who was out. He drafted Willian in his stead, so that was not something I was really interested in seeing. Now we've seen a lot of comment on Willian. A lot of people said he had a good game. He worked hard. He did this. He did that. And then we have a lot of people saying he did nothing for 90 minutes. Why is he still in the team? How can we have such a range of views for one player?
Yeah, I really don't know because I don't know what positive things he did in the game. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's scary.
I don't know what positive thing. I mean, I felt like him and Pepe were equal. Their performance was equal. So, and I didn't think Pepe had a good game. When it came down to playing some of the defensive things that the defensive tasks that I thought he would need to do, he did. He fell flat on those, and pretty bad as well. Especially if you're supposed to be a leader and supposed to show us what needs to be done. I mean, I don't know if you want to go into it, but the Iwobi cross, I think him and Saka were the two players that could have made a difference in that, whether that cross came off or not.
Yeah,
Uh, I believe he's he's the person that probably has to make that change because he's coming from the inside. I kind of looked at that. I reviewed that a couple of times to see what was going on, to see who was around and who could have made a play there. I felt like he's the number one. That was his number one priority, was Iwobi at that point. And he kind of, like anything else, a lot of the team they fall asleep at the wheel, and then they wake up suddenly, and then they're late, and then they're late, and they're not given 110%. So he's kind of jogging over to Iwobi, and then he basically slows down, and then gives him just enough space to get that cross off.
yeah. Like
Those are the inches that you're playing with, and those are the inches that we don't get because teams press us. When we have the ball, they know they communicate with each other. They know where we are, so there's always seems to be somebody always next to us when we get the pass. This is so it's a team wide thing. So it's not one person does it better than another. I think as a team, it needs to be solid, and it's not.
yeah,
So yeah, I didn't see. Like I said, I didn't see much from Willian that led me to believe that he had a good game. I don't think too many of the players did have a good game. I don't actually. Yeah, I mean, I think when I listened to some of the others that had seen the game, they said Luiz actually played well. But Luiz also
yeah.
was involved in a lot of the goal scoring that happened too. So
Yeah, I thought Luis had a good game, and he was probably our most creative outlet, bringing the ball forward from central defense to be our most creative player in midfield, and that's a damning thing in of itself against the manager. And we have to, from my point of view, and here's my stance to get right to the point here. I'm Arteta in, but he's given himself that leash that he has is getting shorter and shorter, and it's going to get tighter and tighter on him. He's going to run out of time. Now, I've looked at the fixtures, and we'll get into it a little bit later. Um, we've got Chelsea coming up, and that is a really difficult fixture. But after that, we've got fixtures that are teams that are our level right now, Gary. Brighton away from home, West Brom away, two tough away games, but they're actually right now below us in the table. Palace at home, Newcastle at home into January, and they are teams that are just above us in the table. So we're going to be fighting after Chelsea. The next four games will be teams around us. Hopefully, I'm hoping we get ourselves out of the mire a little bit by that point in time. I don't know. There's blame to go with Arteta, and we're going to get into his selection problems, his trust issues, and he's not faultless. He's made a lot of mistakes since the beginning of the season. You and I started out on this road with podcasting when we did the review of the Arsenal squad. We wanted to keep both goalkeepers at the time. Now it's just festered since there. The rot has just set in. Uh, the latter part of January, we go away to Southampton. We play home at Man United. So I'm giving Arteta till the end of January, and we need to pick up points in those 7 games in order to get ourselves out of trouble. Because if we weren't talking about relegation last season, only sparingly talking about it, it's definitely on the cards. You're not too good to go down, Gary.
That is true. They said multiple times in jest, right? In jest, we've said that. Now we're
Yeah,
basically living it. This is not
yeah,
a joke anymore. This isn't, tongue in cheek anymore. This is actually something that's can happen, especially the next 2 games. I guess the next game could go pretty bad, and that's going to sour everybody's mouth going into the last game of the year. I think we
yeah.
play one more
Merry
game.
Christmas.
Yeah. So, um, yeah. So the last game, what is it? 28th is when we play Brighton. Is that
Brighton.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
28,
So
29.
yeah. So we've got three more chances this year. I understand the end of January for Arteta as far as a milestone to see where we are, but I
Yeah.
think you miss when the window ends, end of January. Is that right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Those two. I mean, this is the problem though. That they should have known long before now what their next steps are. What, especially as they've seen the team. It's more about the form, the quality of play, and all the other drama that's going on. This isn't something that just showed up, in December. Kind of been living this thing for a number of months now, right?
Yep.
Well, does
Yep.
the team even have a plan going forward? More than likely, I feel like they don't have any plan to change anything, and they're just going to hope he's able to pull a rabbit out of the hat again.
Yeah, they're basically hoping what I'm hoping, Gary, is that somehow there's a performance against Chelsea, um, be it a draw, be it a win, but a performance, and then we have these 7 games, these following 6 games that I've highlighted. Hopefully, he can get himself out of trouble. I think it's only fair maybe to give him another window
Yeah.
as well, and maybe Edu's part of the problem as well. He doesn't go without blame as well.
Well, I mean, it's all four aspects of the team, right?
Hmm.
A little bit of the owner, a lot of the management, the coaching, and the players. All four of those have a little bit to play in this downfall. I just before we continue on with that, dude, do we want to finish up the lineup discussion? Because I know we may have went off on a tangent,
Yeah,
and
let me
I didn't want.
keep up. We'll keep up with the comments because this
Yeah,
is going to be an open
yeah,
discussion podcast. It has to be
yeah,
at this point in time. All cards on the table. Everybody gets a share of the blame here, and so I'll get through a few comments. Sam basically said Holding might be a good leader off the field. He works hard, and that may be in part of the feud with Arteta that kept Louise from getting the armband. Um, if they did complain to someone above Arteta about Arteta, then Arsenal should have ripped their contracts up for gross misconduct. Both are waste of wages, and it wouldn't prove a point to the others. And we'll keep this in mind as well, Gary. These are the kind of players that we should not be pursuing in the future. David Luiz and Willian, players coming to the end of their years, are ready for the retirement home. Robin, thanks for joining us. Always keen to get on with us, so I appreciate you. The fact that Willian stayed on the pitch for 90 minutes, beyond my understanding, and I'll hold my hand up too, beyond mine too. Another poor performance from the guy with the most Premier League experience in the squad.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing to see because we always say if you're gonna need some flash of brilliance, who are you gonna get it from? And the only player that comes to mind is Pepe. So when you pull him off the field, then you lose that one opportunity where a player who gets the ball at his feet can make some magic happen. Willian isn't that guy, and not anymore. So,
As
you basically pretty much threw in the towel when you said, "All right, I'm gonna, take Pepe off. I'm gonna bring, Lacazette in." Those types of moves do not show that we're taking a risk to actually try to get something out of this game.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Sam is getting infuriated with my hope as well. And I understand that. I will be one of the last people to jump ship probably on this thing. It took me with Emery till Sheffield United away from home, but we cannot continue. In my opinion, we can't continue this change in managers every 18 months, if he even gets that far to 18 months. At some point in time, we have to realize that the players are a big part of the problem, and we've actually recruited a few of them who I pointed out, David Luiz and William, that shouldn't be there. So the starting lineup, Gary.
Yep. So the starting lineup, William, and Louise being there. A little disappointing. I didn't think I thought there was some issues there. If there was, I thought they'd be out. Uh, Maitland Niles being in there, that was a plus. I was hoping Cedric would get a start as today or
Mhm.
yesterday. I thought
Yeah,
that would happen with Bellerin still out, and then Maitland would get in the middle like he's been playing, and he's been playing pretty well there for us. Feel like that would solidify the defense a little bit more than what we had. The El Nene Ceballos combo, I don't know what anybody has seen that leads them to believe that that's working, and it
yeah.
needs to continue. I mean, if the next big game we have is the Chelsea game, and this was a precursor to that, it's not good because this is it's not good because they did absolutely nothing to threaten us, to threaten our defense, to threaten us with any of their aggressive play. But yeah, they still came away with 2 goals. Chelsea, on the other hand, will probably put a lot of pressure on our defense. And if any of those guys are having a good day, we're in trouble. I mean, they have more than enough weapons. I mean, we just had to deal with, Richarlison and Calvin Lewis Lewin, in the last game. We're going to have to deal with maybe 4 or 5 players in the next one. And then they have their bench they can bring on when when the things aren't working. I mean, this is as far as offensively, they've got a pretty a lot of depth there. Yeah. So yeah. No, I
Um,
see brownies. I see. I don't know if I want to skip over Sam's. Do you want to talk about Sam's? Then we get to brownies comment there.
yeah, Emery's style of play was impossible to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key. Like, what is Arsenal with these managers that we've had the last 2 go-arounds here? We don't know. We've yet to see. I don't feel like we've had one of the managers come out of any of these past games and actually win and tell us that this is kind of the play that they're looking forward to seeing over and over and over again from their team. They may have said that they've had some good performances, but I don't feel like I've got that thought that what, this is the style of play that I want to see in our team that on the field in the game we just completed. I don't think I hear that. I did, Brownie was talking about Pepe and his moment of brilliance. That that's where we are, where Pepe's moment of brilliance is all we got if we're going to play him, right? I mean, we don't have a manager that can get it out of him, right? I see him play much better when he's playing for his countrymen than I do here. And one of the differences between that and here is we don't talk. We don't talk enough, even if it's good or bad. I'd rather one of my teammates tell me I'm not doing good than not saying a damn thing to me. I mean, there's no communication out there. That's
No
one thing I noticed
communication.
about a lot of these teams when they go back and they play for their homeland. Those players are screaming at each other, either positively or negatively, but at least you know.
Yeah.
You know that either you're slacking, you need to buck up and get better, or you're doing well, and let's do it again, right?
And I think, Gary, you can talk a lot about the goalkeeper, the difference between Bernd Leno and Emi Martinez, and whatever about their ability to play out from the back or their ability to take crosses or to stop shots. I feel like Emi Martinez's ability to communicate with his defense was eminently better than Bernd Leno's is.
Yeah. I mean that. I mean we're talking. I mean, so you're just rubbing salt in the wound, right? I mean we know
Mhm.
that that's once again we go back to why do many keep thinking that Arteta is allowed is a good choice for us? They always say because of the FA Cup, right? Well, who got us the FA Cup? You know, some would say Arteta. Some would say, you know what? It's the players on the field. You know, my dad, who's in the chats, always comments on the 11 players that are out there performing, and those are the ones that
Yeah.
are to blame for the performances.
Exactly
Right?
right, because
Yeah.
once you cross that white line, the manager's not going to be able to help you till
Yeah.
halftime.
So if that's the case, right? If that's the case, then in the FA Cup and that run to the FA Cup, which players were there for us and the ones that performed overachieved, right?
Yeah,
Martinez, Ainsley, right? Even
Aubameyang,
Pepe,
Tierney.
Bellerin to some degree actually support was good in
Yeah,
those games. I mean, I don't he's not my favorite player, but he actually performed pretty well moving the ball forward.
created the
We're not getting that same kind of play this year, and and
no.
why? We should be improving, right, from game to game, from season to season with the same players, but we're not.
So,
And
so what I'm
who's that?
seeing,
Who's that on?
sorry, Gary. So what I'm seeing is Groundhog Day. You see this banner down there below? This is facts. After I think 8 games, I think it was 8 games last year under Unai Emery. On October 6th, we beat Bournemouth 1-0. It was a narrow game, but we beat Bournemouth 1-0. A Pepe corner, David Luiz header. We get 3 points. We're in third place, October 6th. The thing that is crazily eerily about this year is we started out the same. We won our first 2 games. Then, funnily enough, we lost to Liverpool, and we got a couple of other results. You remember they watch along with Tony, and we hope Tony's getting better and doing well. Um,
Yes.
Sheffield United, that's the last win aside from a penalty up at Old Trafford. That's the last win we've had. 2-1 over Sheffield United. We were in fourth place that day, and it looks to me,
Yeah.
and here's my conspiracy theory. Um, on October 8th, 4 days after we beat Sheffield United, the Europa League lists were announced, and Mesut Ozil was dropped. Socrates were dropped from those lists,
Oh.
and I think Saliba as well, right?
I mean, are you sure it wasn't? Are you sure it wasn't because me and Tony haven't? I don't think we've done a watch along since. You don't think it
Yeah,
could be that? You don't think it could be related to that?
it could be. Tony and you are the good luck charm. We need to start doing that again. We need to get it back on point. Um, then after that, Gary, on October 17th, we go away to Manchester City. Now we're all going to remember that game because he played Willian in a really ridiculous false nine position.
Yeah.
3 days after the Manchester City, we can take a Manchester City defeat 1-0. Okay, compartmentalize that
You know what? There was negatives in that though,
a
right?
lot.
I
Yeah.
mean, we lost 1-0 to them, and they're way ahead of us in terms of where they are in terms of their team, right? We lost 1-0 to them, and we had our opportunities like anything else. We just never, you know, they have lost other games since then, right? You know, a lot of teams we play, they come beat us, and you look back in the next week, they're struggling or they're losing, right? So that's we just can't take advantage of the little luck that we are presented, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
So
Sam is asking, who's picking these players?
yeah, and
They're playing to go around,
that,
right?
that's the thing. Yeah, Willian has not, at least in most people's eyes, hasn't performed anywhere close to where he needs to be. Right? It's been, what were we in our 11th game? Is that right, or the 12th game? right now? I forget which game we're in now.
We played 14.
Sorry, well, 14 games, right? And he's played probably 10 or more games since then, and he's only been good in the first one. That we could actually
Yeah.
say this is kind of the play that we want. And even though it was Fulham at the time, right? It was Fulham, so Fulham isn't that bad. They've shown that they're not that bad. Whether we caught them on a good day, same thing with West Ham, we caught them on a good day. A lot of these teams we caught in good days when we were able to get something out of those games. Now looking back, they've since improved. We since have regressed.
We caught them on the opening day of the season when the players had maximum belief in Mikel Arteta, and he's done things since. He sold Emi Martinez, who worked really, really well with playing the ball out from the back, communicated with the team, and was a good goalkeeper as well. And yeah, a lot of Gooners said, "Get over it. It's done. Bernd Leno is the goalkeeper now." But this was a mistake for me. Selling, and then people will also say, "Gary, you only had a handful of games. You can't judge a goalkeeper on a dozen games." Well, you scout a player. You're going to buy a player on the basis of possibly watching them for 12 times as well.
Mhm. Well, the same people that said that that are saying that Martinez didn't have enough games are the same people that are also probably asking to see Emil Smith Rowe and Balogun get out there and get their opportunities, and Willock and Nelson, and they as far as I'm concerned, they don't have as many enough games in them as well to say what they need to get it. It's based on your form and how you're playing right now, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that also should play into it. If you're gonna play, have these players out there playing and they're performing and they're doing exactly what you want, and you're seeing other players that aren't, all right? And they may be doing exactly what you're saying, but it's not working. So which one is it? Do you want to get wins at the end of the day, or do you just want to have the players do exactly what you want and still fail? I mean, I don't. Something doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't
So
add up.
the point of this caption at the bottom, highlighting
Yeah.
highlighting 2019, we're in third place after 6 games, and after 8 games, we're in fourth place on October 4th when we beat Sheffield United. The point is, the players are the players. They're the one constant throughout everything. So, do we bin the manager right now, or do we bin the players, Gary?
The easy changes right now are the players, because you can make those changes every game.
Every window, right?
Every game. Like right now, we don't.
Hmm.
We've got 33 players on our roster, right? Two of
Yeah,
them can't play, the others can. So, and I feel like we only play probably realistically maybe 15, 16 players, and not all, and we have a decent sized bench that we could play a lot more. They're all getting healthy. They should all get opportunities to play. I think that, especially when you're struggling, you need to find what's the spark, what's the combinations that work. So yeah, I mean, the window is nice because that's a big bump in maybe expectations out of your players. But you know, once again, we always go back to this, and this is the whole thing. We talked about the whole rinse and repeat. Like, let's make sure we don't need. Let's figure out what we do need before we go out there and start pulling players off the market, right? Do
yeah.
we have, does Nelson offer us something, or does he need to go? Does Balogun offer us something, or does he need to go? Right? Willock, same thing. All these players, Martinez brings us something. He gets healthier. We know what we're going to get out of him. But some of these players, we need to figure out whether or not they're staying or going. If they're going, then that's also part of this whole, the window that we have going on, right? If they're going to go out on loan, I think we heard of him. Is it uh, Emil Smith Rowe might go out on loan? And that's interesting because he's the only player we got with that skill set, right? So why it's like saying it's like saying we have one starting goalie, Leno. We're going to put him out on loan. Why? You don't have anybody else that does his job, right? We don't have We don't have a starting goalie right now sitting on the bench that we can bring in and fill with any confidence that we're okay there. Emil Smith
And
Rowe's the only one.
yeah, exactly. Let's see what we have. Emil Smith Rowe, we need him. He should be. Interesting, hopeful signs we're seeing. Again, I'm going to use the word hope. Hopeful signs, Gary. Emil Smith Rowe is in the squad. He sits on the bench, but he doesn't get onto the team. And to Sam's point here, the manager is a constant as well. He is choosing the players we talk about every week. He's somehow finding ways to bring Willian into the team. Ceballos gets in there ahead of Ainsley Maitland-Niles in midfield. And if they're not in, if Bellerin comes back, Xhaka comes back, there's four players that, for me, are detrimental to the team playing week in, week out.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, Bellerin on the bench was a plus, and you know, when we play Chelsea, if he's back in, I think we're in trouble, right? I mean, I
Yes.
think we are. I mean, I think we're
Yeah.
gonna see. You
Would,
know, I like the idea that we're still, you know, we're sticking with the 3-4-3, the three at the back with a more defensive structure, because I think the best we can do, and that you don't have to, we don't lose anything. We don't lose as much with the players that we put out there when we go with that formation.
yeah.
Because you do have a lot of redundancy in times of support. I mean, we saw issues in the last game as to why that probably doesn't work. It definitely doesn't work with the midfield that we have, right? Um, the Ceballos Elneny combination in the middle will be scary in our next game, right? That Chelsea game, it will be scary if those two are playing next to each other, because if they're giving Keane all the space in the world to come up the middle of the pitch with nobody pressing on him and be able to take off, lash out a shot from, 30, 40 yards away,
Yeah.
and Leno
Yeah.
has to make a play on it.
Yep.
What are you going to do with the Chelsea team? You give them space, they're going to punish us. We can't do that, right? I mean, that's.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and we'll get into the game. We'll get into the Everton game pretty quickly now. We'll go through the highlights of that. To finish my point here, on October 8th, the Europa League list, Ozil's omitted, Socrates is omitted. On the 20th of October, days after the Manchester City defeat, Ozil is again omitted from the Premier League, and Socrates. Here's the bigger question, Gary. On the face of that, have the sort of team down tools a little bit for the manager?
I didn't really believe it, but that's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing a team that isn't giving its all. Then they're not. Some players don't seem they could be bothered with what's going on the pitch. In desperate times, nobody's actually putting forth the effort that we want. So yeah, it sounds like they put them down, right?
Yeah,
They're done.
we saw it last year, October 6th. Unai Emery wins 1-0 against Bournemouth. Terrible game, but we get the results. We get 3 points, and we would take that now. Maybe not Unai Emery back, but we would take 3 points. By the 29th of November, he's sacked. The players have pretty much down tools for the manager. He lost the dressing room, and he's sacked. Do you think the players are basically trying to do the same thing to Arteta?
Part of me is like, are they doing that intentionally, or are they just done? Right? I guess it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
As a team, are they all feeling that? I mean, it could be a combination. Yeah, I guess so. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So seven defeats. We're in relegation form right now. The last 10 games since as I highlighted October 6th, since October 4th, since we beat Sheffield United 2-1, where we saw 5 minutes of magic and 90 minutes of dire football. We've gotten 5 points from 30, 5 points from 10 games, Gary, and that is relegation form. Any way you look at it, one win at Old Trafford and 2 draws, 4 goals from 2 of them from open play and 2 of them were penalties. We have nothing going forward when every other team in the Premier League has something for them.
Yeah, every other team has improved a little bit from the first game of the season, and consistently since, right? Even Sheffield United, to some degree, is a little bit better. They're just not a good team, but I think they perform better than us as a team. That we probably have made the most. We've regressed the most of any team since the start of the season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
outside of Sheffield United
yeah,
themselves, who are bottom
yeah,
of the league,
yeah.
we've regressed the most. When other teams have gone forward.
Yeah.
Sam said Arteta is too soft to drop senior players and let the younger players have a run of games in their place. He's already feeling the dressing room and too scared to do something drastic. This is the key for me. This is what he needs to do. He needs to fight his instincts here, Gary. Drop the favorite players. We all know who they are,
Yeah.
and bring in the likes of Balogun. What's wrong with bringing Balogun into the squad and giving him 10 or 15 minutes when Nketiah gets tired, when Lacazette gets tired?
Yeah. And this all leads back to what is Arteta's Arsenal, right? What is it? We don't know. I think, like I say all the time, and we kind of as humans make things difficult for ourselves. He said he had a plan and he's talked about it, and then he's not following suit with it. So his discipline, he's just as undisciplined as the team is. So how do if you're not disciplined, then how is your team going to be disciplined? They're not. They're going to follow suit with the way the manager and the coaches are implementing their roles. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a team that just resembles their manager, their coach. I mean, he's not disciplined in what he says and what he's doing. You know,
Yeah, in the same way that Emery came into the club and he was ridiculed. He was done pretty much from the beginning when he started. The people were making fun of him, saying "good evening." He was pretty much done at that point in time. Couldn't communicate to the players, and the players are able to see through a coach, a manager. Whether a manager is going to be strict with that player, I think was it you that mentioned it, or someone mentioned it yesterday when George Graham would come into the dressing room. That's it. The hush would go down, right?
well, I think I may have mentioned something to that degree that you can tell. Those are the type of coaches that you want when he walks in the room, people know it, and heed to whatever is about to happen. Right? Definitely, with a strong manager, you see that, right? A strong coach in the locker room, you definitely see that kind of respect, right? That the players give to their coach and manager. I don't think the players have that much respect for him, the way that a player to coach relationship should go. I mean, I don't. He doesn't have the right mindset of the players that he needs, of course, but he doesn't command much of them. So then it's just a double edged sword where he's not, he doesn't have the right players, and he's not the person to get them to kind of, let's go. Not necessarily follow the company line, but here, let's go with the program. Let's go with, be it the process or whatever. But this is, what we're trying to do here. You can't get them to do that because they don't trust him the way he doesn't trust them. Right? He doesn't have confidence in what we believe are the younger players. Right?
But
They're
they
the
could
life.
be his savior, Gary. They
Yeah,
could
they're
be
the
the
life.
savior
Well,
of the
they're the
team.
lifeblood of the team. Be it as loans or be it as future starters. Those are the two. Those are the worst. Those are the kind of the two extremes for the young players, right? Either they're going to be starters for you in the future, or they're going to be players that you can loan out or transfer out to recoup the monies and improve the team.
Mhm.
He's not helping them either in either case because we don't see them play, so we don't know. There must be they always say there must be a reason why he's not playing. Why that player is not playing. If that manager's sitting him, then there must be something negative about it. And then we turn around and want to sell that player. What team looks at that and goes, you know what? All right, we're going to pay top dollar for a player that you don't even want to play. I mean, it all kind of comes back to the same thing. You got to put some trust into your players, whether you're going to keep them or not.
Yeah,
Showcase their skills because that's what you're going to need. And that's another one of the things that the team doesn't do well is market their players. And I don't mean like with shirts and jerseys and stuff, but actually that they're actually worthy players and they can be useful to a team, if
put
not
them in the
ours.
shop window. Exactly. Yeah. They assembled. Good to see you. They assembled. Good to see you back. But Sam, do you believe Arteta is his own man? He couldn't make a decision as a player, so I'm lost how he's developed this trait,
Mm.
and he's
You know,
figured.
he did make a decision as a young player when you know, it, just look at where Balogun is. He's at a crossroads now where I think he has an opportunity to decide what he wants to do with his career. Does he stay with Arsenal? Does he, not? Arteta had that same decision, I believe, as a young player, where his career wasn't going the way he wanted, and then he ended up leaving.
Yeah,
And
I,
and that experience has not stuck with Arteta because he's got a lot of young players that are gonna stay or they're gonna go, either either tomorrow or in the near future, and
Yeah,
that's a problem.
yeah, it's a big problem, Gary, because he needs to start investing in these young players, show them that there's a path for them into the first team, that can become Premier League players, proven Premier League players under Arteta. Why is he sticking with these known, so-called known quantities in Granit Xhaka? These players are so limited that they're not going to take him to the next level. They're not going to allow him to keep his job. And my wife wanted to give a message to Tony. So get well, Tony.
Yeah.
We're all pulling for you. You know that. But Gary, he's going to live and die. It looks like he's going to die with these players now.
Yep. Yes, he is. I only smile because I also get mad and get this,
Yeah.
just
What are you going to do? Get mad? I've been following Arsenal for 35 years. This is the worst that I've seen it. So much so that I've got to slap a health warning. Watch this live stream, either live or on playback, at your own risk, at your own detriment to your own health. Because when you're younger, I'm going to tell you this now: when you're younger, you care a lot more about the team. When you're older, you sort of say, well, if they don't care about you, why should you care so much about them? And it's going that way, Gary.
yeah. And this is this is the downturn, and one of the things I was thinking about is my other teams that I cheer for, the American football teams that I cheer for. The Dallas Cowboys and the Florida Gators are the two football teams that I follow the most outside of Arsenal, and I've seen Dallas go through a downturn where they only won 3 games in a season, and now they're on their way back until this year. They lost their quarterback, and basically the season was lost like 2 months ago. Then I've got my Florida Gators team really well. And the one thing about them, which Arsenal, I think, doesn't take advantage of, what is our strengths? The Florida Gators team's strength was on their offense, and throughout the year, their offense was really good. They had to lean on they had to hope that their defense would do well. It didn't do so well in most games, but the offense was always there. With Arsenal, what is our strength? What can we lean on? What players out there that we have can we say, you know what? Times are hard. We're struggling. Like in the game yesterday, right? Everton gave us a lifeline, right? They weren't playing a good game. Which player was going to come out of, which player was going to make that Saka moment, right? That we'd had in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have we had opportunities for people to answer answer those types of questions, and nobody did. Um, the Eddie miss was really disappointing because I don't know how else you can get an easier shot from inside the box. Nobody around you, enough time to settle the ball down and put a
Yeah.
shot on
This,
frame.
this is one thing you're going to get with young players. They're going to feel that pressure in that moment as well.
But how is he always going to be considered a young player for us? Because at some point he's been playing for. It's not the first year, second, third. He's been playing for Arsenal for a number of years now. So I don't think that's an excuse now. Where if we say that he's still young, he's been playing on the first team for a while now, right? I mean, this isn't his first year or his second year. I feel. It seems like he's been around for a while, right? I mean, he's gone out and gone loan and come back, I guess, yeah. And last year he played, and this year, you got to start showing some improvements. And if you want your spot on the team, those are the opportunities that come up that you need
Take
to
your
take it.
opportunity.
And
Yeah.
he didn't do it. We've seen other players take those opportunities and flourish with them. He
This
didn't do
is
that.
this is why I have a nagging feeling that if some squad space was allowed to Balogun on the same team, that he would start to supersede. Maybe even Lacazette would definitely supersede Nketiah and what's going to happen. Sam is right here. We are seeing what an inexperienced amateur looks like. And this is something that I think I'm going to ask Gary. I think we would all be willing to suffer an amateur manager, an inexperienced amateur manager, if he would start playing some of the inexperienced young players, and we could go on that journey together. Arteta with the young players. There'd be a lot more leeway and forgiveness, right?
Well, yeah, because then at least you know that whether or not you have what you need to continue, right? Right now, we feel like we don't see that. I mean, you're just not utilizing any resources you have, right? What do you? How do you even proceed next if you don't know what's lacking today, right? We got,
Yeah,
and that's the key. Is it working? Obviously not. We're 15th. We've scored, well,
yeah.
how many goals in the last 2 months? Two that we really want to count. Penalty kicks aren't they don't showcase that we're doing well. So you scored 2 goals in like the last 2 months in Premier League. That's a bad that's a bad trend, right?
So
Do you have other players on the bench that might be able to spark a little bit of life? We don't know because we don't see them.
we don't know, but we have the possibility. Maybe we've seen them in the Europa League. But going to give you a couple minutes, Gary, to list all of the things that you feel that Arteta has, where it's gone wrong and what he's done wrong, and I can sort of add to that list if you miss anything.
All right. Okay.
Starting off, we're from the opening day at Fulham. You know, the news comes through about Martinez being going to be sold to Aston Villa.
Yeah, and it's just like you said, as we said, we wanted to keep both of them, and I always felt like if the team was in dire straits, right, they needed a cash flow to make some moves,
Hmm.
then you should be selling your players that bring in the most cash, right, the most transfer monies. That's not, I mean, Martinez. He wasn't going to command that much money on in the marketplace. There were teams that needed a starting goalie, long before, before the season started. They may have picked up Leno. I mean, the Chelsea's needed one, right? I mean, there were a lot of goalies sold around the same time as Martinez. I don't know if the prices were the same amount or a little bit higher, but at that point, we couldn't have gone wrong by letting Leno go if that's where they wanted to go. They kind of stuck with their man because he brought it them. Who's been the stable goalie that we had. But then yeah, Martinez showed us that he's worthy, and he's continued to show that he's not that bad. I mean, I don't think he's doing any. He's doing a lot better than
Yeah,
Leno is right now. I
they
mean,
have the best defensive record. Aston Villa, just coincidence, right?
yeah,
They have the best defensive
yeah,
record in the
yeah,
league.
and it's not necessarily just because of all the players sitting in front of him. He's made some plays as well, and he also, I think, commands a little bit respect from the defense there as well. I mean, I don't see Leno doing that with his team. I mean, he has similarly that we kept Pepe, right? Not Pepe, not we kept him, but we actually spent all that money on Pepe, and we put all of that. We put a little pressure on him for that. Why doesn't Leno deserve the same kind of pressure? All right, we had two goalies. One got us an FA Cup, one didn't because he was injured. We let
Hmm.
the one go that got us the cup that most feel like is a plus for the manager. And the next goalie has to play out of his mind, and he's not doing that. I mean, I know a lot. We always say it is. You know what? That was a good shot by the by the offensive player, by the striker or the forward or whoever, and he wasn't able to make the stop. You know what? He has to make those stops soon. It can't be always that it was a good shot and that's how that's why the goal went thing. He's gonna have to overachieve, outperform his contract, outperform the reason why he's on the field. He's got to be one of the leaders with his actions. And you know what? When you let a ball go by, don't worry about it. I got it. Right. That's one thing that we knew when we had Martinez back there. That that ball might get by you, but I'm there to stop it. That
Yeah,
corner yesterday, it symbolizes basically why, we I don't think he's the player, I think he needs to overachieve and he didn't do that. We needed to make that stop. The defense failed him multiple times and they've been failing him multiple times for years now. This isn't the first time. And he
yeah,
needs to step up and he needed to make that stop, and I
yeah.
believe if I recall, it almost seemed like he handed that ball inside the goal, like he was so he wasn't on
He
his
wasn't
line.
on his near post.
No, he was not, and he got his head. The ball was already scored by the time he touched it. I don't,
Yeah,
and
yeah. And there was, you know, pundits were saying that's unlucky. He did his best to get there, but you need to be almost standing where you impacted the ball. You almost need to be standing there. so close to the near post as a goalkeeper.
And he doesn't command his space, right? So nobody gets out of the way. Nobody knows he's coming.
Yeah,
He's trying to get around them. No, you got that. This is your lifeblood here. That ball going in there, it hurts you and your team
and
every time. You got to do it. You see goalies all the time just flying through, maybe knocking out some of their own players. That's what they do. He didn't
the
do
other
that yesterday.
the other thing that Leno has a huge problem with is parrying balls back out into the 6 yard box. I'm just scrolling through our results here from the beginning of the season. We come to the Liverpool game, happened twice, I think, in that game. And again, we get hurt down our right side where Hector Bellerin's playing, where Rob Holding has been playing. It's just a weakness on our side. And for the latest press conference, this Everton press conference that Arteta had, he sort of denied that there was a fallibility on one side or the other of our defense. This is the platitudes that make the players. You're shaking your head. I'm shaking my head. Arsenal fans are shaking their head. Arsenal players in the dressing room, they're shaking their head as well because you can see on the field we did not dominate against Everton. We did not dominate against Tottenham. They knew that they could keep us at arm's length and we would not really be able to produce anything. And
Yeah,
this is where we're at right now.
yeah. It's like you see with the two boxers, and the one boxer's got his hand on the boxer's head, and the
Yeah,
other boxer's just swinging, not
yeah.
hitting. He got a lot of punches in, didn't connect on any of them because he can't even get close enough.
Like Scrappy Doo to
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Let me
yeah,
at him. Let me at him. Well, we're Arsenal right now. We're Scrappy Doo. Terrible.
yeah, yeah.
So that being said, with Bernd Leno, we don't need to go into too much detail. He had a good game in the cup against Liverpool. He played quite well. Penalties, we won penalties, and then we come to the Manchester City game we talked about a little bit earlier. The next thing Arteta does is he plays Willian as his false nine role. We had a couple of chances. If you have world class players at the top of the game, we'll convert the one or two chances we had. Well, it didn't. Aubameyang didn't get us out of jail. A shot from Foden is parried by Bernd Leno, and Sterling says thank you very much.
And you can't give teams like that second and third opportunities, and we seem to do that. Yeah, I mean that was telling, and we're seeing it. Well, now we're seeing, it seems to be it's always something a little bit different, but they all stem from the same thing. We just don't have, we are, we're not clinical in the things that we do.
Yeah.
When we're clearing the ball, it's got to be cleared away from danger. Protect
Again,
danger.
again, not being clinical. The Leicester City game at home. Obviously, we're harshly done by a goal that should have been given to us. I think by Lacazette. Somehow, um, the Schmeichel was impeded. His vision was impeded, even though the player was behind him somehow. So the VAR officials and the referees, again, there will always be a talking point. Officiating in the Premier League will not be good. Leicester City, we get outdone by with Granit Xhaka being tasked to drop into that left back area where Tierney has vacated. Uh, it's a good ploy, but once teams start to recognize what you're doing, the ball gets played over Xhaka's head to under crosses the ball perfectly for Jamie Vardy, and every Arsenal fan knew what was going to happen, right?
Yeah, it was the movie script that we all envisioned was what could happen and did happen, and Arteta wasn't the one to stop it. I mean, it was clear as day what could happen if you don't, take the game by the neck and take it
Yeah,
back,
take
put your hand
control
on
of
the
the game.
neck, and we did not do that. I mean, you got to put that ball in the net. I mean, that's all. It doesn't matter how it gets in there, but it's got to get. Use whatever part of your body you can. The ball's got to go in there. You got to take. Yes, but you have to be, clinical, right? Basically, you take your time, make sure that ball goes in. No matter, nothing else matters in the world but scoring. At that point, you need to take a lead in that game. It doesn't. You know Vardy sitting over there. I mean, as a fan, you knew it. As a player, you knew it.
He was waiting. He was itching to come
Yeah,
on. He
I
came
mean,
on for 30 minutes.
every team we played, there's always been something about the players that are Arsenal killers. You know, whether they were going to be on form, where they were going to play, and you know
Yeah.
what? That's where we are. That's kind of you know, who's which player is going to hurt us? In this game, right? The last number of games, there's been a player that you can name, and they all killed us, right? They all
Yeah.
did something
Oh yeah,
wrong.
we've got villains littered all over the place. Theo Walcott recently,
Yeah,
but Robin here. To be fair, Martinez wanted a guarantee to be the first goalkeeper. When he couldn't, this is the problem here, Robin. When he couldn't get that guarantee, Arteta would not give him that guarantee, even though the 12 games previously he had been heroic, and I don't think Martinez really put a foot wrong in those 12 games. Let's call it his auditioning. And this is the problem. When he couldn't get that guarantee, he did want to leave. He did want to leave the club. Irrespective, we got probably 15 million more, but that money is in the bank right now, Gary. It's not helping us on the field.
yeah. So it really did nothing for us, but just hurt us. I mean, all it did is make our opponents better. So the money wasn't utilized the way we wanted it to be, and could that have made the difference to get the all war that you needed to get?
Mhm. Yeah.
Probably could have, right? I mean,
Or maybe the money went towards Partey, but to me, our coach, he sort of has tied himself to certain players here, Gary, and it's
yeah.
going to be the undoing of him if he continues.
And the worst thing is not it may not just be the easy ones, right? The Williams, the Xhaka, the Yakas, and the Bellerins. Could be the Lenos, the
Yeah,
Aubameyangs, the Lacazette.
Lacazette. Yeah,
Even some
exactly.
would say the Eddie, maybe also the one, I mean, all these, there's lots of players that people are going to kind of say, you know what, these are the ones that brought you down, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So Dave from LFC Chats, he's loving life right now. 7-0
Yeah,
against Palace. Liverpool are clicking into gear,
yeah,
and where did it all go wrong? I
yeah.
thought we were
I
so
watched that
hopeful
game,
at
and
the
it was,
start of the season.
it's always telling when the big teams give you opportunities, give you a little bit of a lifeline, and you don't take advantage of it, and then they punish you for it. I think it was a 1-0 game at one point, and IU comes down and it's about 6 feet from the goal, doesn't take a shot, does a similar pass to what Bellerin did, where the ball goes behind the striker. The striker's looking back, going, "What are you doing?" And that was it. I think that's as close as they came to scoring again for the rest of the game. They were punished after that. And those are the opportunities that you got to take. You're standing in front of the goal with the goalie in front of you, put it on frame, make the goalie do some work. He may parry it over to Zaha, who was sitting on the other side, but
Yeah,
he didn't do that, and you got
big
punished for it,
snowball, right?
right? So those are the things, those are the opportunities that the lower teams like ourselves right now, you got to make them. And you see some of these teams that were at the bottom of the table kind of moving up as far as their performance goes. They don't miss those opportunities when they come because they know they don't come that often. Got to take it when it comes. Take what the defense gives you, take what your opponent gives you, get something out of it. Yeah.
Mhm. So, Merry Christmas to everybody here. I hope you have a great holiday. Enjoy the time. Um, we're going to hopefully take on Manchester City right now, coming up on Tuesday, and let's hope that a change in competition will help us because whatever we're terrible in the league, Gary, but we're doing okay in the cup competitions. We won 13 of 17 in our recent cup games. So, does it change your scene? Is that going to help the squad?
You know what you just did? What did you just do?
Put the hex on us, right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Uh,
We are. We've
I've
been
come to
breaking.
realize it's not all
We've been
about me.
breaking
It's
streaks
not about
today.
you and Tony. It's not about you and Tony and watchalogs.
We've been
It's
breaking streaks all. We've been breaking streaks all year. You just created another one.
yeah,
No, not only that, but Chelsea just lost, right? So they're coming in with a loss.
yeah. Did
Uh,
they lose yesterday?
didn't
Can't
they? No, they
remember.
played today, didn't they? Am I looking at this wrong?
Yeah, you might be looking at it wrong.
What am I looking at
So the Assemble says, and the Assemble, the game is on Tuesday as well in the Manchester City, um, Arsenal, Manchester City, and I do hope that Martinelli and Balogun will find a way onto the team as well.
Yeah, I mean, at the least, we should see Emil Smith-Rowe play. If he's not worthy of playing for this,
Yeah.
in the Premier League games, then he should be playing this week, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Um, Sam, again, Arteta was too soft to drop Leno. Arteta does talk hard but acts soft. It's not do what you what's the saying? See, do as you don't do as you say, right? Something like that.
yeah, do as I say, not what I do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe that's the appropriate saying. I don't know.
yeah.
Robin said before Leno got his injury last season, he was our best player besides Alba. Correct. But I actually think that Martinelli performed at a higher level than Leno. We went up levels when Bernd Leno got injured against Brighton. We all did fear that, but Martinelli came in and did really, really well after that result. As Anthony said, in a way, as good as Martinez looked, he had 10 years auditioning really at the club. For 12 games, he was brilliant, but I wonder in the long term, will he remain as impressive? 20 million was a good deal. I would say remaining impressive would be 14 games into Aston Villa's season, and he's commanding the defense that has the best defensive record. So I'd say 12 games with Arsenal last season and 14 games so far. If we would combine those two, I bet those statistics would look pretty good, Gary.
So far, so good.
That would be 26 games.
Yeah, so far so good for them. Like I said, Leno is good, but he has to be better for us. We need our top players to be in top form. I don't think he necessarily is in top form. I think that's what we're seeing. There's more that he can do, and we're not seeing it. And that's we need to lean on certain players, and he needs to be able to come through when he's made those saves before where it looks like what that player's got us dead to rights, and that ball goes going in, and he's made the stops.
Yeah.
He's
And,
he's
and
got
again, as Sam said here, look at what Martinez is doing right now. I agreed at the time. It's history. It's done. Arteta did it, but we can look back now and say, was it the right move? He sort of hitched himself to Bernd Leno as a goalkeeper, who performs at a decent, reasonable level. But I believe Martinez is a better goalkeeper than Bernd Leno.
Yeah.
Then we go to Old Trafford. We win 1-0 with a penalty. Partey and El Neni, they look to be our best two midfielders when fit. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and we've yet to be able to see that partnership consistently since, right? I mean, we don't see it enough now. We haven't seen it enough. We don't even know if that's going to be our best partnership. Could it be Maitland-Niles and Partey? Going forward, that might be the way we go as well, right?
Yeah.
We don't get good things for too long, Partey
We
comes
don't.
in.
Yeah, as Arsenal
Partey
fans,
comes in, show us some good stuff, and then he's
we
gone.
hand out gifts, but we don't get too many.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Robin said Emmy was here for 10 years, couldn't get a run of games earlier. Says something. It does, right? What
Yeah.
what do you think that says? Says maybe we didn't look at him closely enough.
Well, obviously, I mean, does everybody? We all think he did well in the games that he showcased, the last ones that he played for us.
Yeah.
Was he to blame for some of the failures that we had at the end of that season? No, he was actually the reason why we were able to do the positive things that we did. So is that not, you know, maybe he needed those 10 years to get better. I don't know. I feel like you gotta hold on to something. Are we getting the best out of Leno because of the changes that we made? I don't think so. I don't think he's pressured to do anything good. I don't think that pressure of not being, that pressure that the big teams have, where if you don't do good, we have somebody behind you who's yearning to get out there on the field. Did we lose that? And did he slip up a little bit in his preparation for games and whatnot? Like I said,
Possibly.
like I said, he needs to be the best player on the field for us. That's kind of where I think Arteta's put him,
Mhm.
and he's not. He's not. I mean, yes, there are. I go back to yes, there's been some amazing shots that got past him, but he's been making amazing saves for us. And I don't know in the game yesterday how many he did, how many shots did he block that I felt like, you know what, not, most of the time, a lot of those shots would go in. I don't feel like he hit, a couple opportunities to do that. Well,
Mhm.
just the one opportunity I can think of to do that, and he didn't. They didn't. They weren't playing well, and we needed to be at our best in certain situations and lean on our top players in certain situations, and he wasn't there to do that. So
Uh, as
yeah,
as Taib said, I agree with you, Taib. Martinez as a goalkeeper deserved to be number one, and selling him was a step backwards. And Stephen, I'm sorry, Steve Denham. I usually send Steve Denham a comment to remind him we're going live. So apologies, Stephen. I hope everybody's doing okay. Dealing with Arsenal right now, it's not easy. Um, this team needs to come with a government health warning to be taken in small doses. Um, Seriously affects your health. All of these things. And Russ, thanks for joining us. Evening, chaps. And funny you should say that, Russ, because we were talking about Unai Emery and the similarity between this season and last season. It is my opinion that the players have down tools again in an effort to get rid of another manager at Arsenal. And it is my opinion that that should not happen, at least until the end of January, when after Chelsea, our fixtures will be against teams that are either just above us or, dare I say, just below us. And yeah, things could get a little worse. Um, our Arsenal Christmas might not be great. Um, so then we get through about 10 games, Gary, and we just look at the last three or four. 3-0 to Aston Villa. Hector Bellerin at his best or worst, whatever way you want to say it. Leeds United, Pepe with a moment of indiscipline, which we have to call him out for. The Wolves game, we were just ponderous. A Wolves team jumped on us. They took their opportunities that they had. Gabriel again showing up with the equalising goal. Willian crosses. About the only thing Willian has done since Fulham. He crosses for that goal. Um, and then 2-0 away to Tottenham. Bellerin gate for me. Terrible. And Tottenham again at that point. They do well with crosses into the box, and that's what we fed them. We've seen in recent games against Liverpool, they rode their luck against Liverpool. Rode their luck against them. They beat them 2-1. But today, Leicester City beat Tottenham, and they're kind of on the slide a little bit. Um, Burnley, another terrible game. Granit Xhaka in discipline, and Gabriel. Whether he's trying to do the right thing for the team or not, you can't give away that first yellow card, Gabriel. And then yesterday against Everton, and once Everton got that second goal, Gary, there was no way we were going to get a second goal. Can we say that we've been unlucky in the last two games? Rob Holding hitting the post and David Luiz hitting the post, or you kind of get what you what you fight for. The effort you put in is what you get out of it, right?
yeah. I mean, that usually when you hit the post like that, it makes you want to try it again. Feels like we got depleted by that and
On
lost the
defenders too.
same, kind of lost that energy to maybe actually, you know what, this time, the next time this happens, it's going in, right? I'm going to make sure that, because we've seen volleys go, you know, get better. So you create your own luck.
Right,
So
right,
like
right,
this,
right.
yeah. I didn't say I'm missing that,
All
but
right,
yeah, no,
so Lumber Camp. I look more like a Thomas Rosicky, so I'll take Perez.
uh, all right.
I'll take Perez. I'm with Righty here as well, and if we had these two players back, either Thomas Rosicky and an Ian Wright in our team, or a Perez and Ian Wright, we'd be okay.
I mean, outside of the goals that Wright scored, what was one of the perseverance was one of the things that I think he also brought with him,
Yeah.
right? The energy, the fight. You know, it doesn't matter how old or young or whatever it is or where I'm coming from. Yeah.
Hey, big up. Listen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He brought that to he brought that confidence as well. You know
Mhm.
what? Where
And a little bit of an edge
you
as well.
know, when you see some of we don't see it. None of these players, I feel like, have that confidence that and they go out there, they know what's going to happen, and when they do, do well, they're happy for their teammates or for what they just did. They don't, they're not yearning to score that goal, make that block, make that save consistently over and over again. That's something that I believe Wright brought to the team.
Yeah. Did you
Um,
see? Whilst I saw a little bit of effort in yesterday's um, performance, did you see a kind of acceptance that we were going to get bullied and pushed aside, Gary?
we don't have we don't have that, and that's one of those things you don't have. We don't have that captain that's like sees that as well and is able to go, wait a second, guys, no,
Hmm.
no, no,
Hmm.
something's not right about the way we're playing here. Let's slap you around, wake you up. You're like, no, 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 they're not playing well. We need to take the game to them, right? We don't have or I'm going to show you why we got a chance in this game. We don't have that either, right? I'm going to get that ball. I'm going to dribble it up. I'm going to make the shot. I'm going to do what I need to. I'm going to put ourselves, make that pass, make that block, make that tackle. None of that. Everybody's kind of retreating, giving the other team what they want. Nobody's taking. No, we got to take these things, right? They don't just fall. Those that shot by Louise, that ball fell to him, right? He didn't have to go get it. It was just it was a bad clearance by the goalie, if some would say. It just kind of
Hmm.
fell to him, and he was able to get a volley off of it. It wasn't something where he attacked the ball in the air and then was able to volley it. I mean, that's when you're making your own luck, right? Is when you actually go out there, do something for it, get rewarded, and then you make an attempt and you actually score. Yeah, I think they're I think they want their Beatles back, right?
Hmm.
I think people want the Beatles back.
Anyway, big up everybody here in the chats. I hope it's helping a little bit.
Yeah.
Camp, I wasn't gonna tag a lot of people on Twitter today because if you want to come and watch the podcast, come and watch the podcast. But I understand with results being what it is. Gary, what do you like to do when the results are bad? Do you kind of like go away from things for a little bit? How do you deal with defeats?
Yeah, I've been watching defeat for a very long time and being disappointed.
How's the
They-
last 2 months been for you, Gary?
Well, usually when the game's over, if I don't have to do a video, I basically just shut everything down and just walk downstairs, and just do something else that's not football related.
Yeah,
I can
get
sit
back to
around and
the
listen
real
to all
world.
the post shows and all of that, and feel even more disappointed because there's a lot of things that I probably missed, and a lot of things that other people saw in the game, a lot of other disappointments out there.
Mhm.
I barely feel like I listen to somebody after a game, and there's a lot of positives that I missed in it. A lot of times
Mhm.
it's another negative that actually came out of the game. So yeah, I think just shutting it down and going back to some of the things that are more important. Right, there are a lot of
Yeah,
things that we all got families and friends that we want to hang out with, so that takes us away from it. I mean,
exactly.
I I am upset with the loss, but you
Mhm.
got to know, it's just a game, right?
It's
And
just
it's
a
something.
game, and
It's just,
you can blame the owners, you can
yeah,
blame Edu, you can blame Arteta, you can blame the players. But until they're all pulling in the same direction, until we either have a manager who gets the players in who want to play for him, or we get another manager in who's going to
yeah.
make the players play for him.
And
It's
there's
not going
always
to change.
and then there's always luckily another game, so you can get up for that one. So I'm always, you know what,
48 hours,
this
baby.
one, this one didn't go so well, but tomorrow there's a game, so let's try to do well there.
Yeah. Let's
Just one thing. The one thing that I would like to see Arteta do is just be upset with either himself or the players, like really upset. I feel like he's just playing us. He's not really feeling the things that he's saying. He should be disappointed in himself.
it's
This is not what he planned to do.
it, it is mind-boggling, really, what's going on with Arteta, and we'll spend a few minutes on that soon. Let's put to bed the Emmy Martinez thing once for all because it's going on a little bit. It was my point of view. I wanted to keep both keepers. Yes, it probably transpired that the cash raise from Emmy Martinez allowed us to get Partey. I was in favor of that, but looking back now, I feel that Arteta really should have kept faith. Again, he's taken this into this season, Gary. He's keep faith with the players who are playing for you and are on form, and he kind of has gone away from that this season. He went against whether it was his own mantra or not. He went against the mantra of playing players who were fit and on form. He started a new season with Leno.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what do you say to that? You've been out. We actually won a lot of stuff without you, but now you get to play and you didn't really earn it back.
Yeah, and
I mean,
this
it's
thing
no
of
different. It's no different than the captaincy and throwing your shirt and your armband down, and then you're starting a clean slate. So whatever. So the past means absolutely nothing. And what? Are you
new
serious?
season, new season, clean slate. Everybody gets a free pass again.
Did they they didn't they didn't look at some of these players that they brought in based on what they're going to do for them in the future. They looked at, that was part of it, but also it was what were they doing before. We don't pick up a William if he's had a really terrible season. He actually played pretty well coming out of the last season, right? That's why they picked him up. It wasn't, so if you go by past form, now we're saying, what, your past form means absolutely nothing.
Mhm.
All right. And how can that be?
Yeah, and Sam said Martinez knew the situation. He could feel we've heard this in press conferences that Arteta wasn't giving him the assurances he wanted. Yes, his agent went to work for him. He found the club. He left because he never felt like he was going to start the season.
Yeah.
Right? It's
And
the
also
clean
that,
slate thing, Gary.
and also that's also part of this um culture that we talk about. Would he be looking to leave and being guaranteed things that he hasn't warranted? Right? Some would say, you know what, you've had 10 years to warrant, a starting position, and you haven't been able to grab the bull by the horns and actually take
Yeah,
control of the situation. When you did, that doesn't mean that you can start making demands. This is the Arsenal. This is Arsenal. Any team should have that same kind of mindset, right?
yeah,
We're all trying to get to the same spot. You push it. If he think about this, if Martinez was playing, he would be probably playing in the Europa League. No team would have scored on us,
yeah.
right?
Uh,
No team would have scored on us. And then you go and look at the Premier League games, and you're like, does that does he not warrant some games, right? And then say he does play in the games during the Christmas time, and once again, the defense looks better. The goals aren't going in for the opponents because you got a goalie that it commands a lot more space and is able to, make the stops. It looks really silly at some point, right? But I think not having that culture where a player starts demanding things that maybe they don't warrant. They haven't earned that place in the business where they can say, you know what, this is what I want. That's also another thing. The culture, like nobody's playing for the crest like they do. They're not playing for the fans, and a manager can bring that out of you and say, look, you stay with us, you'll be better off in the long term, and that's what should be the case, right? In years from now, if you were playing for Arsenal, you look at the West Ham and you go, which one would I rather play for? It should be Arsenal, right? Because they're going places. West Ham, maybe not, and that I mean that's right, but
yeah,
that's the confidence that you have in what you're doing, right? At the end of the day, Arsenal should be looking down on West Ham on the table, right? In the long term.
It's so funny, Gary, because we had Charlie on the second weekend of the season, and we're looking. Oh, we'll be in the top six. We're looking up at the table, and Charlie has that. I'm a West Ham fan. I don't expect too much. His expectations are down. We'd be lucky if we're 16, 17, he says. Funny how things can change after a dozen games.
Yeah, and then it's all like anything else. It's come back to the culture of the team, the coaching, the management, the players, everything. Those
Mhm.
players probably felt like, what, we let one slide, and we knew we got one over on them in that game. We knew it. They were coming back. They had
Yeah,
opportunities to probably at least tie that game, if not take it
yeah,
away from us.
they played well.
We were
They
happy
they
for
made
that.
it tough. They
Yeah,
made it tough for us that day.
and little
Um,
little for us did we know that, what, that also set their trending upwards and our trending downwards, because we were complacent from then on and
mhm,
seemed to still be there.
yeah. Want to give a shout out to Sam and Robin in the chats. Yeah, we did have a heated, not a heated, but a lengthy conversation about Emi Martinez and Bernd Leno, because we feel it's a big point. And all Arsenal fans, we're all a family, but we all have differing opinions, and they've settled it amicably by agreeing not to continue talking. So I think we'll move on from the Emi Martinez thing. Um, Arteta, what's the way? How's he going to change things around? I mean, we talked at length about this, Gary, on this podcast for the last 2 months. That he needs to start embracing the younger players and bringing them into the team. And I haven't seen anything in his character still that he's going to change from that. I was so scared that Bellerin will be brought into the team because that would be a nod toward him going back to his old ways, Arteta. Um, what can we look forward to on Tuesday and on the 26th, next Saturday?
Well, I think I mentioned this to some, is Man City coming in probably to, they taking a little rest in this game. Are they going to bring in some more of their backups or not? Or are they looking to, coming with a strong team? Right. I mean, I feel like we should be bringing in some of our younger players, because I think we're going to have to figure, depending on
Yeah.
what
Do
the
you see?
managers feel
Do you
like
see
they.
Bellerin? Do you see
Yeah,
Bellerin playing right back for the cup game?
I
Or
don't
would
want
that
to
be
see.
acceptable
I,
to you?
if that's a step down, then yes. But I don't
Yeah.
know. It all depends on what, it's hard to tell what Arteta is thinking. Is he thinking that, what, this might be our opportunity to get something, so maybe we're going to have to come strong? And then who do I feel confident in? It shouldn't be Bellerin, but, we all feel like just a matter of time before he gets back into the starting lineup. He should be a squad player at the least right now for most of us, right? We've got
Yeah.
Cedric, we got Maitland
Do
there.
we do we use the cup game to play some of the players who have not had games yet, like a Kolasinac, Mari,
You,
Runerson?
why would you start with that name? What? Why would you start with class tonight? What?
We need to
What?
put him in the shop window. We got to get Edu to sell him.
Does he have multiple years on his contract or something? Is that why? He isn't,
Right.
right? He should be gone too,
He
right?
should be gone. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, right now I feel like we should be doing things to better the future of the team. I know it may punish us in the sense that we may not be able to get players out in January, but I don't care. I feel like we need to be changing the trend in the team structure and this culture that we have. So the younger players should be playing. We put our starters in. Say we put our starters in for this game, get beat up, and then come into the Chelsea game. Is he going to not put his starters in for that? I mean, these two games back to back are probably the worst thing that we have going on as far as this Christmas window, this holiday window, because
Yeah.
you can't say, all
I
right, we
think
play this game and take a game off.
I think this is the perfect scenario that Arteta will think. He has two teams. He's going to use two teams.
So if
We
that's the case, then we put our youngsters in, and then we hopefully see them kind of
prosper.
yes, we see a Balogun out there who wants to get first team play. Give me
Yeah.
the ball. Think about it. if Martinez only got 20 minutes, then he should be able to. Is he part of the future? Or I don't. I hope so. I don't know. You know, I was reading something where I saw. You could see it. He goes out there. He's commanding the ball. Give me the ball. You have Balogun and him out there. I don't know if they can work together that way, but it'd be nice to see. Right, two
With
players.
Martinelli.
Yeah, two players
Yeah,
that command the ball, request the ball, hold up the play, hold up the ball, and can shoot. Can score. That we don't have that. We don't have that from our starters, and we have that from our youngsters, right? Who want to make a name for themselves, and that would be nice to see. Yeah, that might be a good
I
night going into
mean,
the Christmas break kind of feeling that you know what, at least we
yeah.
got something there.
So Lombard Camp said Arteta terminated Mickey's contract just to sign Willian, just to soul the trying. Manu to get rid of one waste man, then give another a 3-year contract. Yeah. If anyone can explain how Willian got a 3-year contract, it just shows all that is wrong with this team. Uh, there's a lot of rot, Gary. Just to finish up, next 15, 20 minutes we'll go for. There's a lot of rot that has set into the fabric of the club in the last 5 to 10 years, and it's going to take a little bit yet to get rid of it. We can't truthfully say that we're on the path to remedying the situation right now.
No,
We're
no,
in the wilderness. We're lost, right?
yeah, yes. I mean, there's no light at the end of the tunnel right now, right? We don't see an end to this. Something,
So
something. One of the things that I saw a question and I kind of got an answer to it as far as where do we what do we need to see?
where do we go? Yeah.
And change is what we need to see. It's coming one way or the other. I said this multiple times. I feel like Arsenal needs to be proactive in their change, right? Um,
This is
and I,
this
you know, I, and I, yeah, I mean, the assembled. I feel the same way. I felt the
so
same way about
true.
that when I saw the Europa League games come. We're playing two different structures, two sets of players. How does a manager who's just doing this for the first time actually set up his team such that it feels like he's running two teams? And then the one that's most important to us really is the Premier League that kind of showcase whether we're progressing or not. And you can't tell whether or not you're progressing. And he's managing two sets of players, two different schemes. The players on one side seem to be the ones out there that are fighting and go out of their way to try to get something out of it. The other players don't. And then how do you mesh those two together? That should never be. It should be one culture for Arsenal, and that's it. You're playing in
Mhm.
Europa League, you're playing under the same kind of setup. You're playing in the Premier League, a similar setup, maybe different players. You plug it. You should be able to plug and play your players.
Yeah,
Give
get
them, you know,
a style of play. Get a style of play in place and
yeah,
plug in players
yeah.
that can do that.
It's hard work to tell a player, you know what, you're going to play in this system here, and
Yep.
then plug them into another system tomorrow. I mean, it should never. This is where a lot of people talking about. It's kind of starts from your academy. Your academy players coming up should be under the same thought process and culture that you're going to have from your starting team. So when they move up, all they're doing is getting their performances are getting better, right? Their
Yeah.
form is getting better. That's all. They don't have to change much because you know what, the system's in place. If we're playing a 3-4-3, everybody's playing a 3-4-3 when they come up or when they play. When you bring some of your youngsters up and they're playing in the cup games or Europa League games,
And
there's nothing. It's nothing new they have to learn because they've been doing this forever. They're seasoned in whatever the team is going to the structure the team wants.
we've been
Yeah,
seeing this with Liverpool as well, Gary. They put Minamino in, and
yeah.
he's able to play the way they want to play. He slots in. Jota, the same thing. It looks
I
like the
mean, we
trend.
were lucky. We were lucky to beat them last year when he came in. I mean, he scared me when he came in. He was threatening our defense, and you can see where he's come from last year to now. He's progressed, right? We don't see players from that. The players in that game. We're barely seeing them now, right? In that game, Nelson looked good on at top with Aubameyang, right? No, we're like I think it was Nelson. Yeah, I think it was Nelson. They were both attacking the
Yes.
the cornerbacks in that game?
For
Where's that? Where's
Liverpool.
that? Yeah, where's that? Where is that now?
Where did that go to? It was Lacazette and Nelson, and
Yeah,
they were able to catch out Van Dijk and Allison
yeah,
in the pattern of play they were doing.
yeah,
There is some promise to Mikel Arteta and his mind, his coaching mind, and this is what I talked about a few weeks ago. Arteta the coach. I've got a lot of faith in Arteta the coach, but Arteta the manager, I'm very, very suspect on now. I think he has the tools to be able to coach players. I don't think he has the man management skills. And for me, he needs to learn as well. And what we want is an Arsenal team to grow together. The sooner we get rid of some of these senior players, we're not going to be able to get rid of some of them. As soon as we get them out of the team, and as the assemble says here, this is probably the quote of the day here. Arteta thinks he has two teams, but everyone knows he hasn't got one side. And to your point as well, Gary, come up with a style of play that
yeah,
works for the club,
yeah.
the whole institution, and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, before I answered that question, I was kind of talking about where do we go from here, and one of the things that will be that will have the light bulb go on in my head if I see it is change, and the type of change that I'm talking about is proactive change, right? Not something that's reactive to the situation at hand, but something that Arteta's already seen or Arsenal's already seen. They don't need to wait for it to get worse or wait for something to happen before they make a change. They just change it, right? The same way, why are certain players playing it every game, and the only time we see a change in the lineup is if somebody gets a red card or is injured.
Enforced.
You know,
Yeah.
how do you can't, it should be already built into most. I have no doubt, and we saw this from Man City, right? See Foden come in. Hello there, Alonso. We saw
Yeah.
Foden come in last season, and I was sitting there saying to myself, why don't they play? They don't play him a lot. They bring him in for a little spot. He might start a game. He may come in off the bench. I was like saying to myself, why do they bring him in? Because he looks he looked really threatening with the ball at his feet and attacking the defense. But you know what? They had a plan, right,
Mhm.
for how they were going to utilize their young players, get them acclimated to the game. I mean, I know Foden's a really good player, but I feel like we have players, maybe not at his level, but players that
Yeah.
deserve the playing time to
Problem.
be part of
Problem.
that rotation of players that come in.
Problem with that, Gary, is you have to be top of the tree. You have to be able to say to the player, "You're in the best place possible. You're out of Liverpool. You're out of City. We're top of the league right now, and you will do this, and you'll stick around. There's a plan for you eventually." As Robin says here, Balogun has 6 months left, and there's other. We don't want it to happen. We don't want it to happen. There could be other
That's
clubs.
yeah. The fact that it hasn't happened is it's nothing to be scared about. It's probably going to happen. If it doesn't, we should be pleasantly surprised because we're not doing anything. We are reacting to something. This should have been performed and completed a while ago, right? Six.
Yeah,
We always, we talked about the 2-year program. 2 years into his program, they needed to into his contract. They should have known whether or not they were going to keep him. Yeah.
yeah,
Is he going to be part of our future? We don't know, but we find that he has the potential to be. So you know what? We'll sign him back up for with 2 years left or whatever that date is. He'll be with the team. Worst case scenario is we loan him out or we sell him. Right? You protect your assets. We're not doing that. We're letting
yeah,
our assets go for free. He's at no. There's nothing that I've seen that we've done that should make it easy for him to sell. Sorry, to sign.
yeah.
Right?
As Anthony says, as much as you want to see Balogun versus City, this is the problem here. Lacazette, he thinks Lacazette only got 15. Well, he only got 15 minutes versus Everton, and you can see him starting in this cup game. Arteta does surprise us in both good and bad ways, mostly bad ways, but rarely the way we want. As Anthony said, think he'll play safe. This is the problem. We have a cup game, perfect opportunity to give Balogun 90 minutes, Gary, a player for the future. Lacazette, whatever you want to say about Lacazette, he's been good for the start of the season, scored 3 goals off the bat. He's not our future. Balogun could be.
That's it right there. I mean, where's Arsenal going, and who's going to help us get there? Is it Lacazette? I don't
No,
think so. Is it Balogun? We hope so, but we don't know because we never get to see him in a situation that kind of answers that question. Will he be the player for us in the long term?
think we all saw that clip on Match of the Day, the Europa League package that Balogun had, where he showed some really, really good hold up play. And when he demanded that ball from Pepe, give me the ball, I'm in position, I want it. That's hunger. I saw hunger in that player. And we better develop his potential here at Arsenal.
You know what? Like I said, if think about this, you're the agent for Balogun.
I don't want to think about it.
Exactly. So because you know what you know what those are because you know what the answer is. If you're the agent for Balogun right now, are
Yeah.
you truly telling him, you know what, Arsenal's the place for you right now? They're showing us that they want us to. They're saying it, but they're not doing it. All right. They're saying they want us, but what have they shown you? You go in there, you play for about 30 minutes, I guess 40 minutes in two games, you score two goals and you assist on two, whatever it is, show good hold. You do everything you're asked to do, everything that they're missing, everything that the team's lacking. But yet you can't get a sniff, sit on the bench at least, come
Mhm.
with an opportunity to come in and maybe showcase what you got. I mean, I don't want him to go, but there's nothing the team is showing me that they say they want to keep him. All right.
Yeah.
You
Lombard.
can't get mad, you can't get upset about it. They've actually shown, they've shown us what they
Uh,
want. They don't want
my
him.
only hope is that he's going to, hopefully, he would like to think he's going to get playing time because our forwards are getting tired and run down. Aubameyang can't score a goal for fun. Lacazette is not the player he used to be. You would think if you're Balogun, you're looking at the situation in a year or two, you and Martinelli could be tearing it up in that team alongside Nketiah maybe. And if he looks at a Liverpool, maybe the depth is there with Minamino and Jota that he won't get into it. Looks like Liverpool have a great plan that Salah now wants to make moves to go to Spain. And that's probably what Liverpool have planned for all along, that they're going to sell Salah when he's a saleable asset. And we're not at that stage yet. We have never moved in those circles as a club. And that's until Arsenal start doing that, we're not going to be successful on the field. Arteta's man management is horrendous, dropping in form, goal scorers, and banishing Saliba to the under 23s before he's even played a competitive game. Absolutely shocking. The Saliba story is just another stone we can throw at Arteta, right, Gary?
Yeah, like I said, I saw him in the MK Dons game, and I said, you know what, play him. I saw McGinnis in that game, play him. I saw Ballard in that game, play him. Nothing that I saw in that game from our center back, with potential future center backs that led me to believe that they shouldn't get an opportunity to play. All three of them aren't playing for Arsenal right now, because there are two out on loan. One, it's getting some play with the U23s, and these are, changes that we need to see. And this is the when I talk about, what I want to see, it changes. This is it. I saw, I think one of the comments is, Arteta's doing this, it seems, all by himself without the right support and the right knowledge to do the right thing.
Yeah.
This is it, and that's, when I talk about change, there's multiple ways we can do that. Is one is, Arteta has to go, Edu has to go,
Yeah.
somebody else new needs to come in and either support them, new
Well,
director of football. There's little things that we can do to support, the team to get them better. Maybe maybe new changes that happen because of it, but we're not doing anything different, right? We're doing the same thing with the same people, not
and
progressing.
we're pointing out everything Arteta's done wrong. We know these players. I think they have down tools. So I'm playing both sides of the fence. Yes. I'm still Arteta in. Yes. I'm looking at the 7 games here, 7 league games till the end of January, and I will make my decision at the end of January on Arteta. And I don't know if the club will give him that much time, if that, Gary. You know,
Well, I mean, if there's a potential that we'll lose the next 3 games. We'll be out of a cup game. We'll lose to Chelsea. We'll
in
lose to
Brighton.
Brighton. We'll lose to West Brom. Right?
Uh,
Those are the next 4 games.
yep.
Right.
The
We
the
lose those
thing that
4
was
games. Where will we be in the table? We'll be, if not in the relegation zone, basically
yeah.
sitting on top, teetering, waiting for the next result to come in from a team to see whether or not we're going to drop further.
We have 24 games to pick up. Let's say 26 points. Um, we need to pick up some wins here and there, and that's just to get to safety, relegation safety. And I've never talked in these circles as an Arsenal. One time in 1993-94, I think we were 14th in the end, uh, but we did pick up a cup or two in those times. Yeah, it's shocking that I've said it constantly. Yeah, you have said it constantly since the Olympiacos game. It showed us everything about Arteta. And the assemble, I have to admit, I was resistant to that kind of talk. I always thought we were loftier, that Arteta was better than that.
Well, you know what? Part of it is yes, but part of it is how many months into his career was he when that happened? I
Yeah,
mean,
only a few months.
you put a manager in that kind of situation in his first couple of months on the job, and he doesn't succeed. Those are, once again, those are the things that you kind of, you figure out when you're a young manager coming up in the system, trying to figure out what to do. Did he learn from that? A lot of us feel like he did not. You can put that one in the notes, how to handle that situation better. If he had, the fear is that if he had the exact same situation come up again, we would see the same thing, which leads
Yeah.
us to believe that, you know what, he didn't learn anything, and he's continually not learning anything from his experiences from game to game. You know, you look at the last 3 or 4 games, they all look the same. He's going to say we created a lot of opportunities for ourselves, right?
Yeah, he has
They
been.
all resulted in losses. We lost players, or lost points, or we lost the game. We lost something in all 3 or 4 of the last games that we played. No,
Mhm.
that's not positive, right? That's not moving the team in the right direction. I mean, did
Yeah,
you the players aren't learning anything from it because they're doing the same things. The structure doesn't change to benefit the things that, to improve on the things that we did in the previous game. I mean, you look at that list, like where where
where do we pick up points, right? Um, like you said, I was watching Brighton earlier against Sheffield United. There's a player there. He's a right-sided defender for Brighton, Lewis Dunk, who most fans would probably turn their nose up at. Would have turned their nose up in the past, but I think most fans would now say, "Go and get Lewis Dunk as your right-sided defender. He's better than Rob Holding, in my opinion, and he would complement Gabriel." You know? But this is
you
the
can look
snobbery of the Arsenal
at
fans.
you can look at any player in any of the teams that are out there, and all of them have something that we just don't have, and that's, they actually have a desire to do the job at hand. I mean, they do. I mean, their coaches have instilled whatever confidence in them, and they go out there and perform. And that's why we look at them and go, are they the best in the world? No, but you know what they do is they actually, you know, their culture is, the way that they play is they give 110%.
Yeah, that's a big
That's
point,
that's
Gary. That's one of my notes here. The only way out of this trouble that we're in, and we're in a relegation fight, is to work hard. Hard work is the only thing that's going to get us out of trouble.
yeah. You
You know,
know, we don't
look,
see
look,
that, and that hurts us. And that's why when we look at these other players, we're like, you know what, that's what we want. But you know what? They come here and they're not going to be asked to do the same thing. So how are they going to look? They're not going to look better from coming to us because the mindset of the players and the management and the coaching isn't the same. So you basically, that's why players that look good outside of Arsenal come into Arsenal, and you're like, wait, what happened to the player we had? What happened to the player that we had? That we
yeah,
saw,
let's
right?
let's bring this full circle then. Let's just talk about the Everton game again and the starting lineup. More specifically, I want to look at the substitute bench. As Robin has said, no place for Balogun. I looked at the substitute bench and I'm seeing Mustafi, Kolasinac, Bellerin, and Cedric. That's a lot of defenders on the bench for me. Was it too heavy in terms of defender?
Was it the last game we saw the similar thing, right? I mean, Mustafi and Kolasinac on the bench is just telling in itself.
Yeah. Balogun, come on.
You know,
Kolasinac,
he could
why?
take one of their spots, and we're not going to lose anything, right? If Cedric's in there, then Kolasinac's not necessary, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
that's
you had players on the field, Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Saka, who are adaptable
you can
to
move them
playing in.
anywhere. So if you need somebody to come play, on the back line, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't utilize our strengths, which is some of the versatility of some of our players, right? Saka can even go back. We've seen him go back when it's necessary, to perform more defensive tasks when it's so we don't we don't utilize them. And like you said, Balogun not being on the bench was a big red flag for me. You know,
Um, the assembled lumber camp. Arteta is a funny one. I don't want to sack him, but he simply isn't good enough. He baffles common sense. And Assemble goes on to say, right, the players haven't down tools. I kind of disagree with that. The team structure doesn't allow the players to adapt to the situation developing in front of them during the game. I would say you are right in the second part. The team structure doesn't allow the players to adapt, but have they checked out? That's the question I'm asking. And if you've checked out, it's just as good as downing tools, in my opinion.
and in the last 10 minutes of that game yesterday, Arsenal did not look like a team that was trying to get a goal. I mean, I
Yeah.
felt like Everton basically could control that game, and there's probably like it was like I think from like the 80th to the 85th minute, I think we may have touched the ball a few, maybe 30 seconds of that time period. I think they controlled that game, and they put a lot of pressure on us, and we didn't seem like a team that wanted to take it. And the last 10 minutes of the game, where was the urgency? It wasn't, there
And
was a lot. We looked good, but I felt like we could have controlled that a lot
I,
better.
I
I mean,
saw a caption, Gary, where Everton in the last 3 or 4 games that they've won quite comfortably, they've not allowed a shot against them in the second half from their opponents, and they're able to control. Ancelotti has got them controlled in the way that they're defending,
yeah, I
and
mean,
I
and we,
want Arteta to figure this out. I do
yeah, I
want
mean,
Arteta.
now that I think about it, I think we actually did a little bit better in those last 10 minutes, but it didn't feel like it. I
Now,
mean, we had some crosses go through that didn't connect. I mean, yeah, that's what it was. At one point, I think I was going through the game. It was a Maitland cross that went through, and we had three
yes,
players in the
all the
back.
way through.
We had three players on the back side of that play, and all three of them did not attack that back line at all.
Yeah,
They all kind of
it
stood
was.
there a couple of feet off the defender. If
Yeah.
one of those three players made an attempt to actually get into the seam between the two defenders, they would have put their foot on the ball and been able to put a goal, score.
This
I mean,
this
it was, and I looked at it. Let me see who it was. It was Tierney,
Martinelli.
Martinelli, and Saka were all three lined up,
They were on the
lined up
8 yard
three
line.
right behind the
Yeah,
the,
their
the back
defenders.
line of the defense. The cross comes through right in front of, right
Yeah.
through, right behind the defenders. We're nowhere to be found. If Tierney curls out to the outside, he'll be there to put that ball back into.
I
Those are the opportunities. Those are so the cross comes through. It doesn't look threatening at all because we're nowhere to be seen. But there was enough time for those players to get into position to be able to wait for that cross to come in, and they seem to be waiting for a cross to come in behind the defense, which we know never works. And the way we get beat is when that pass comes in going towards the goal. So that's where the cross was, and it was like I freeze framed that one just to see what was going on. Those
yeah.
players, that's when you needed to give, like I said, that 110%. That plays there you make that cross in between split the defenders. You put a foot on the ball. Maybe it goes in. But
that is down to a style of play. They have not practiced putting crosses in. That is an ad lib, off the cuff play that is not being coached by the manager on the field. The ball, and there's no confidence in the team to know that the ball is going to come between the goalkeeper and defender enough times in a game to do that.
But are those things that you learn as young players?
Yes,
We're not asking for things that are new to this sport. These
they've
are
been coached out of that.
That's the problem. They're too busy thinking about who knows what and not thinking about the task at hand, which is we need to get a goal. I'm going to do everything I can to get this ball in the goal. And it was like depressing to see because it looks like it's just not a really good, not a good cross because there's nobody there, but it was set up perfectly the way you want it. I mean, and then I think, Tierney's able to recover the ball and put another cross into the far corner, which, if it got through, Lacazette was there for it. It got intercepted. And these are the things that we shouldn't be waiting till this has happened in the last minute of the game.
Hey,
there's no way that can happen. Yeah.
This has put the best smile on my face this weekend. I think Tony Turner is in the house. He says he's glad he was never on the Arteta train as he woke up drunk in the storage car. Okay.
Oh, he's got another quote in there that
yeah, I'll get to that one. Robin. So Robin is optimistic we're going to pick up some points as well after the Chelsea game. I'm with you too, Robin, but you can't call them anything other than relegation 6-pointers that we're going to be playing. Brighton and West Brom. Don't forget, West Brom will have Big Sam at the helm as well. I don't know how they're doing right now. Are they? I'm going to check on that. Alex, thanks for joining us from Cannon Fodder TV. And Alex, I will propose to you the challenge that both channels are going to get into. I will let you know about that. Stephen, hey, big up Tony in the place. And is this the other comment? Are the players going to get fired if they ignore Arteta's tactics? The players need to be moved on. Edu needs to do his job. And that's a big part of the problem, Gary.
Well, here's the thing: is the players that ignore Arteta's tactics either will get fired or eventually Arteta will get fired and they'll have to deal with another manager's tactics. So one of the two is going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, and you know what? You got to follow the manager's tactics, but I feel like he does give them a little bit of rope that they can expand on when they when they get the ball. And I feel like there's certain places where you give a little bit extra, you're going to get something back, and I don't think we take that advantage. So they are getting in positions to score. So obviously, part of whatever he's talking about is working.
Mm-hmm.
They need to just be better at it. I want to see better. There is another quote from Tony that you haven't got to yet, so I'll wait for it.
Lumber Cab, we are in a relegation fight. The Assemble says, and we're going to need a specialist to get us out of there if Arteta is sacked. I'm hoping that we have the quality. I can't say with any confidence we have the quality right now. Yeah. Anthony said most worrying part is that we've seen these players produce in the past. If it was just the manager, you'd think easy fix, sack him, but they performed for a while, stopped, and they would do the same again. Darren, big up yourself. Happy birthday to you, Darren. So hope you had a great day. And it's almost 9 o'clock there. I hope you're and big up to Tony with a leg and a half. I could do better crosses.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I guess his fact that he's making jokes means that he's on the him and Pepe are probably buddies now because Pepe is he's also missing a leg. So
they're gonna put their arm around each other and there'll be one player on the field together.
There we go.
Tony could direct Pepe into the right spots to score goals. You know what I mean? Don't be dancing.
There you go.
You have to call him what? Tepe.
There you go.
Tope. Or Penny.
Yeah.
How do you ship that name, Tony and Pepe?
Yeah.
Darren, thank you for both for birthday video,
Yeah.
guys, and you're
You're welcome.
welcome, very welcome. Hope you look back at it as times and when you need to. I understand things are going to be tough again in England with tears going on and lockdowns going on. So stay safe, everybody.
I did see
And,
that West Brom is down 3-0 to Villa. So if that's a plus for us, then so be it. But
and
just
it is a plus for us because Sam does not pick up any points. That was his upset pick. I do not pick any points up because Manchester United beat Wallop Leeds 6-2. And this guy here picked up some points this weekend. So 2
five for
points.
since you've been doing this. So
You're off the floor, Gary. 2 points on the season so far. And we will on Wednesday night. We're going to have a podcast on Wednesday night, not the usual Thursday night, because everybody should be enjoying Christmas Eve and not watching us. It's okay if you want to watch us on the playback on a Thursday night, but we'll be here Wednesday night, the day after the cup game with City. Big up Tony. Nice to see Tony in here. Definitely.
Yep.
I will second that, Sam. Villa beating West Brom 2-0. I would speak about Arsenal, but after drinking tonight, probably not wise. Maybe it's more wise to speak when you're drunk, right? What do you think, Gary?
It all depends. It all depends. You might, you know what? Don't speak about Arsenal. Enjoy the night. Uh, Arsenal is like a downer. It's not going to help. So Penny or
Penny,
Penny.
Pepe and Tony tearing it
Uh,
up.
there you go.
Let's
Oh
ship
man.
them over. Let's ship them over there with the whole family, and Tony can tear it up with Pepe. Penny down the right. Sounds about right. The solution is to use under 23 players and never play Xhaka, Bellerin, Willian, Ceballos again. But Arteta doesn't have the cojones to do that, so the player part can be eliminated if he wants. Okay, Gary, 1.9 is our number. Okay.
What does that mean?
1.9 is it's a one. So Pepe's number is 19.
Oh.
Nice one, Tony. Nice one.
Oh. All right.
All right, so Gary, I think I've made my position pretty clear. I know you're Arsenal in, so I'm not going to push you on it.
Yeah, it's Arsenal in, and you know what? Like I said, Arsenal in doesn't mean Arteta's in. It doesn't mean that. It just right. I am all for change for the better. I want to see little changes. If that little change happens to be a big one, and Arteta has to go, Adu has to go, like I said, has to go. I'm all for that because that seems positive to me based on where we are today. So just do something, make a change.
Do something, do anything positive.
Anything. I mean, come on.
Anything more than 4 goals and 2 of them
Something to
from
say before we go. I got a meme from my cousin in Barbados. It had what did it say? It said Premier League clubs and their weaknesses. And Liverpool's was their injuries. Man United was their defense. Manchester City was their attack, and Arsenal was football.
Yeah,
that was their weakness. And I was like, thanks, cuz.
like we're allergic to football. You know? Antibiotics fuel the comments. So Tony, listen, I'm going to speak for those who are not with us right now. Stan, Alonso, Sam, Anthony, who you don't know yet, but I'm sure Anthony will be back when we get a win. And Sam, Greenwood, Alonso, and Gary, of course, and Mahir. We all wish you the best in your recuperation, your recovery. I know you got a little bit to go yet till you're back on the podcast, but we look forward to that today, right, Tony? Like Gary, right, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're gonna be looking for, he had his new segment, right? In the bed with Tony, whatever you want to call it, the bed series. So
We will have to call it And listen, on Wednesday we're going to celebrate an anniversary. I think it's the second year, the third year of the
Yeah,
channel has gone by. I actually thought we would be chronicling some of the good times, Gary, but we had a little taste of the FA Cup, but we're on a downward slope, worst since 1975.
yeah.
And the assembled and everyone here in the chats, you're just as important as us up front here. Um, it's a group that we have together now, this channel, and we're growing it. So anyone new come across the channel is watching this for the first time, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and the bell notification. And Gary, I'll leave you with the final say here.
Yeah, I want to say happy holidays to everyone. Thank you for those in the chat room. Thank you for those that watched the replay. We'll talk to you right before the Christmas holiday, anyways. But enjoy, have fun with the family. Hopefully, we have something positive to talk about in Wednesday. Looking forward to that. And if we don't catch you, and I
It'll
did
be
see.
the second team, Gary.
Yeah, I did see the Republic of Ireland of Arsenal saying we may not see him until 2026. I hope you meant to say 21. I think
No,
it's a
no,
typo, right? I think it's a typo.
there's no way. Unless he's got huge man hands. Unless he's got man hands, like Seinfeld man hands. There's no way you
So
can do
we
that
will
typo,
see
right?
you. We will definitely see you soon. Hopefully it's with the, is who knows who it will be with, but maybe it's Balogun that gets us together. I wouldn't mind that. We're talking about Balogun in our next talk. But thank you everyone for showing up today. We will talk to you again in a couple of days.
Yeah,
Uh,
we got 48 hours, Gary, till we see the second team doing bits against Manchester City, and then we go back to the draws on Saturday.
yeah, yeah. So have
Definitely not a
fun.
typo.
Yeah.
He doesn't have man hands.
Oh, maybe he had one of those weird. It was one of those weird keyboards where the 6 is right next to the 1. I don't know.
Could be. Listen, Um, if you come and join us Wednesday, we'll wish you happy holidays and happy New Year and happy Christmas. And hopefully, we have a happy result to talk about. It's not easy being Arsenal fans at this point in time, but
I think
I hope.
Tony's calling it. He's like,
Okay, it's time to wrap it up. The timekeeper has said so. You know, Tony's the timekeeper, right?
we'll see.
Tony, the timekeeper, Turner, Tepe, Penne.
And
All right, we're out of here.
all
See you
right, see you guys.
Wednesday. Be good. Take care, everyone, and get away from Arsenal and do something with your loved ones, okay? And we will see you soon on Wednesday. Come back.